I'm excited to be interviewing Paula Lacabara today. And I'm super excited because I know I've heard of you over the last few years. I heard one of your interviews in a telesummit like 3 years ago. And now we got reconnected, and it's been inspiring to sort of hear about your own journey these past few years and the work that you're doing, Paula, in helping empower women leaders. And I love the stance you take, the helping balance out our masculine and feminine sides, and really like owning our own true beauty. That's what caught me about my message from you, was owning one's beauty. And I didn't really know what that meant. So it's been interesting to kind of learn more about you and the work that you do. And I'm hoping that you can share more with us today, Paula.
Yeah, totally. Thank you so much for having me here, Sarika. This is such an honor. And, I remember we kind of, exchanged some emails, and then eventually we went for a gorgeous lunch. By the way, you took me to that yummy place. And yeah, it was really fun. I think the beauty of having those connections and being in person also was really fun. I'm very passionate about what I do. You're probably, whoever is watching right now, they're gonna feel it in my voice, because it has been my own journey as well. Everything that I everything that I help women with, it's purely came from my own experience and my own personal journey. And for me, this piece of beauty, it's really what I call beauty is being in truth with who you are. When we feel tuned in, tapped in, turned on with who we are beautiful. And it doesn't, it's like it surpasses any external factors of our appearance or our fashion, or it exceeds anything, because we're so grandiose, we're so big, we're so powerful that shines through.
Yeah, I can almost feel it.
You feel it, right? Yeah. So when we are able as women and as men, I just don't happen to coach men particularly, but when any of us really owns who we are from the inside out, we shine our beauty through. Like our beauty shines through, and people feel connected, and we are magnetic, and we attract abundance and beauty and amazing opportunities and people into our lives.
Yeah, no, even while you're speaking, I can feel the power of that. And the amazing thing about beauty and truth is that it sounds so simple, yet it's so profound, And in Sanskrit, there is Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram, which is like truth, beauty, and consciousness. Those are the three that sort of make up sort of the purpose of our existence. And I think what you're helping describe is that convergence, or living from those three unique perspectives.
Yeah, I 100% agree. It's the makeup of who we are as in an essence.
Awesome. So I was wondering if you could sort of explain a little bit more about what it means to live from one's beauty. Like, that sounds simple, but I'm sure that as a woman, especially in today's world, it's not that simple. And I know you have a lot of experience being a Latin woman, sort of going through your own journey of what beauty meant to you and how you came to where you are today. So maybe we could start with your journey, and then you can tell us a little bit more about beauty, or vice versa, whatever you feel.
No, it's all related, actually. It's in and out itself. It's the same thing, because my journey did start with beauty. My whole thing was about never owning my beauty, never owning who I was, because of the culture that I grew up with. Even though beauty was a priority, or is a priority still, you see it here. Now I'm in Argentina. That's why I'm saying here. I'm in my hometown. And even though, we breathe beauty, it's a high value here in my country. There were a lot of judgments, and there were a lot of, that it had to be a certain way. Like, in order for, like, you have to convey a specific models or specific ways for you to be cataloged or labeled as beautiful. And for, so it wasn't as it is in most places, right? Beauty wasn't it wasn't about you being you and explode, you know, express your individual beauty, individuality, who you are. It was about the masses, and the masses dictated whatever needed to be, then everybody else had to be that. And I always had this thing within myself. I remember, I don't know, you know, like we had a lot of influence from Europe, and so the European bodies are different from Latin bodies, and that's just what is, you know, there's no right or wrong. Yet for me, it always felt wrong, because what was being portrayed, what was being advertised was women with different body shapes. And for me, especially as a Latin woman, I have my curves. And I remember I would go and buy dresses. I think I was about 13, 14 years old. And I would go buy dresses, and you know, there's a little, like, you can't see me, but there's a little, in the back of, you know, in my back, there's a little thing, and then boop, you know, my bum comes out. And so that little thing in the most of the dresses as the fashion was portrayed, they didn't fit, and I didn't like that. I really hated it, actually.
You literally fit into the outfit that society had for you.
Yeah, I think you got cut off, just to make sure that people hear you.
I was saying, oh, I don't know why I'm getting this feedback. You literally were trying to fit into the outfit that society had created for you.
And that has been my whole life, until, like, I would get really pissed because it wouldn't fit. But I also wanted, you know, I'm like, there's a word in Spanish that I can't find it in English, but it's called coqueta, which means, like, I like to dress, and I like fashion and all that stuff. And so what I ended up doing was to go to the seamstress for her to do the pattern according to my body. So then, and I would buy the fabric, and I would sew the dress. And, like, I had to come up with what worked for me in order to feel confident and feel good in my body with what I dressed. And so that's just a simple example to show what I've been through within me. And then I also, that was after, but before that, I even had, you know, I have a brother with special needs.
I remember hearing your story and being so touched by that. Like, that was profound. Yeah.
Yeah, right, because he was the first one, and then I was born. I mean, my mom had a huge, you know, my parents, you know, they had my brother who was special needs, and then they lost a child. I think it was 2 years after that. He got, you know, cut with the umbilical cord, and he died at birth. And then I was born. So there was a lot of heaviness, right, when I was born. But I also was born, like, perfect in my parents' eyes, right? Like, I was perfect, and I was, like, sparky and cute, and, you know, a girl. And I was the first girl born in my family too. So that was definitely, you know, of course, right? Like, a girl, and, like, everyone was playing with me. And but I remember I had this memory, like, and that didn't come out after I did a lot of personal work. I remember I was doing this workshop, and that memory came through, and I was like, oh my goodness, like, whoa. So I remember the image, that the image, and people might not identify with this, but this is what really happened in this workshop. And I brought, like, this memory came through very vivid, as I was a little girl, maybe around 2 years old, and I was going back and forth, talking, like, you know, like, not even talking, but I was talking in my own language. And my parents were playing with me, and my brother was in the kitchen with the woman who was taking care of him, sort of like a nurse. And I remember I went to see my brother, and this woman, God bless her, she said, because, and this is what the message I received, I don't remember exactly what she said, but basically the message is, because of you, they're not paying attention to your brother right now. No. And I remember something inside of me, because the last thing I wanted to do is take my brother's attention or outshine him. right? So, and then my sister was born right after that, you know, a year after. So, and she played the big like, la, la, la. But me, I shrunk. It's crazy how that happens, right? Like with siblings. And from there on, I would always make sure that I would not outshine anyone, that I would hide who I am so people can shine around me, but I wouldn't take their light. Like today, of course,
like
I have
imposed humility almost.
Right. Right. And so you can imagine moving forward as a girl, as a young girl, as a teenager, how that pattern kept repeating itself constantly, nonstop.
That's very deep and profound. I mean, I can only imagine how it impacted, you know, your school, your career, your dating, your relationships.
Everything. My first boyfriend, I was 18 when I had my first boyfriend. Like I would encourage my girlfriends, like, go live your lives. And here I am in the sidelines watching everyone live their own lives. And me, what the heck?
Right.
Right. It's really interesting how that happens. Eventually, you know, my first boyfriend didn't work out, and then I had another boyfriend. Then I got married, so I only had 2 boyfriends, and then I got married. Anyway, so it was it. And then at 25, my husband at the time just decided that he didn't love me anymore, and he left. And now I'm like, what? I built everything for everyone to like it. Like how do you say that? Comply with every rule. I did everything I needed to do.
You were the good girl.
I was the good girl.
Yeah.
Exactly. I was playing the biggest role, so I wouldn't take any more unnecessary space. I wouldn't take anyone's light. I would be the nice one and make sure that everyone got covered. And I, in the meantime, I was trying to be happy with myself, trying. But it started actually, the catalyst was that I bought an apartment, and I was, you know, we got married with my husband. We got the car, we got you know, everything, like all like check of what society expects of you. We were looking to get pregnant because that was the time. I was 23 and we had to get pregnant, and you know, that's the next step that you're supposed to do. And all of that happened. And then I had a really good job, and I was paid really well. And I would, you know, complying with all, of course, because I was in pure compliant mode. I have my rebel side, of course, but still, like, mostly from the good girl operating my whole life. And I got fired for laughing from this corporate job.
Wow.
Because I was being myself. So, right, like the first time that I'm being fully me, boom, I got fired, which is interesting, right? Because it was the first time that I felt so confident and I was just being myself, and then I got punished, which shows what happens when we have those underlying beliefs. Then your surroundings and everything that happens in your life will respond to that belief. That's why I always share with my clients how important it is to catch those beliefs and transform them, because if not, you know, the energy of the outside will be responding to that energy within.
I want to just slow that down just a little bit, because that's really profound. So your belief was that if I shine my own light, or if I express myself, then the world will condemn me. And that is exactly what happened, because the world just mirrored your inner belief.
Exactly. Okay. But and here's the beauty of where all of us have power. We all of us have power when we know that it was actually within me. Right. And as it is within me, I am the only one who can transform it. I don't have to depend on anyone, because the power is not outside myself, it's within myself. And if I take a deep breath and I allow myself to do the work that I need to do, and I get the courage that I require to go through that wound and heal it, then bingo, then it stops that energy from coming through.
Yeah, that's really, really powerful. And I like the self-empowerment aspect of it, which is I know that within me there is a belief that can be healed. And as long as I believe and I have faith in that transformation and take the steps towards it, I can. I'm in control in a way. You know, even if we have to surrender to the greater aspects of life and God or whatever, that part we have control over is our attitude and sort of our perspective.
Right. And you know what? The truth is that it's not fun and sometimes it's not pretty. But once you do it, right? Once you go through it, and that's why it's usually really hard to do it on your own. Like I didn't do it on my own. But it's really hard to do it on our own because it's not pretty.
Absolutely.
It really isn't pretty.
Also, you need a mirror. You need someone who's been there ahead of you who can just look at you and say, you know, Sarika, this is the belief where you're stuck, and here's how you can transform it, you know. And you can read a million self-help books, but sometimes just having that one-on-one sort of support is priceless. Absolutely. Because we don't have time. Nowadays, we're busy individuals, you know, and as women, we want to accomplish a lot in this life. That's something I've noticed. I mean, with myself and a lot of women I know, you know, we want to have careers, we want to have a family, we want to have romantic love. Like, what's wrong with having all of that, you know?
And we can. That's the even better, the even more beautiful part of it, that we can. The thing is that when we are doing it on our own, our ego is so used to finding the ways to distract ourselves or not to go deep enough in order to unroot. Like, it's almost like getting something, right? Like getting the carrots, you get them and you see the roots. That's what we require to do. And that's why it's important to have someone who helps you go to that level that you might not go on your own, in order for you to heal it from that place. So right after that, what happens, and that was the catalyst of my husband saying, oh my gosh, she's changing, what's going on? And, you know, so he's sort of like blamed at that moment, whatever. This is not about blaming my ex-husband for anything. I'm just saying, like, and he was the biggest gift in a way, because it gave me my freedom, right? Like that was the catalyst for me to go and look into, all right, okay, I've been doing this my whole life. This is clearly not working. I have never been happy. And for the first time, I allowed myself to see the truth. The truth was that I was not living my life. I was living in the sidelines, the life of for everyone and what everyone expected of me. And that was really hard to see it, actually, because I was one of these women who I thought I was empowered, but I wasn't. It all came from fear. Inside, I felt like just a little thing. So my whole journey, I went to India. I did, you know, many things, and I really learned.
Navratri festival. Now it's Navratri. You know.
Navratri. Yes, and it was so powerful. So powerful. And I understand now why I had to go at that specific time. So then that was my journey to empower myself and to know that I needed to choose myself and live my own version of what beauty was in my life. And again, when I say beauty, I'm not just saying the external beauty, is the beauty who I was inside. And that I learned it in India, actually. You know, it was like everything was so gorgeous. Everything was beautiful. And even if it was a different standard of what beauty meant to me, like I would look at everyone's eyes, and I'm not sure if you heard that, but everyone's eyes, and their eyes just, you would look into the soul of these people, regardless of their appearance. I've never experienced anything so powerful in my life, so profound.
Pretension, actually. If you go to a lot of parts of India, you know, especially the non-urban areas, like people don't have the same sort of perceptions about physical beauty and all of that stuff, like the way we do in the West. You know, they don't have as much self-doubt and self-criticism and all of that, right?
Yeah, and I also learned the beauty of celebrating oneself, the beauty of, like, the devotion for me was new. I mean, I grew up in a Catholic country, so it was more like an obligation sort of I never seen the devotion of, you know, that for me. So that it was just a lot of learning, a lot of like getting outside of a box that I've always lived and start seeing different things in my life. And I also, like, I loved when they have you bless the food before you start eating, which I still do till today. And it just knowing and understanding that everything that goes into your body, it's sacred, and the sacredness, that's actually the word, the sacredness, even the devotion, but the sacredness of life, the sacredness. It was like, it was the next level of my evolution in regards to what it meant to be a soul having a human experience, and understanding it from that place where I have full, that I'm in charge, like you were saying. I'm in constant choice, and what do I choose for my life today? And that's how today I live my life, and that's how I help my clients, and I support my clients in really seeing themselves to be in constant choice, understanding that we are responsible for our lives, and that we are the creators of our lives. And as I transform myself and my story, anyone can do it as long as they are willing and open to receive that and to do the work again, and to have that bravery, I guess, to go into those places that are not so fun.
Yeah, and I want to that's actually oh, that's a little loud. I don't know if you could hear me, but I was going to say that that's part of owning your beauty too, is seeing your own negative perceptions or whatever, and healing them, and coming to this new place of owning your sacredness, right? And that whole journey is part of the beauty as well, right?
Yeah, totally. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And once you heal those patterns of what you thought you were, then choose who you desire to be, who you always knew, and allow yourself. So for me, it was allowing myself to shine, allowing myself to show who I truly am without having to hold back.
Yeah, I love that quote by Marianne Williamson about, you know, our greatest fear is not that we are not bright or something. It's that, yeah, our light would almost overtake the world if we really allowed ourselves to shine. I mean, I'm totally paraphrasing that, but it's true. We're almost afraid of our own light in a way.
Yeah. Yes.
So one thing I want to ask you, for you, Paula, is like, where are you now? Like, now you're married, you have a successful business, now you're coaching people, and sort of how do you sort of define being an empowered woman today? You know, and I know you have some thoughts around like being a wild woman, or combining, you know, wild woman and good girl, owning both of them, owning both your masculine and feminine sides. Like, how do you sort of own that right now for yourself?
Sure. Well, today I enjoy a really truthful, authentic relationship. I want to get out of the being idealistic, meaning it's the best, meaning it's like we never fight. No. It's a real relationship. It's a true, like, absolutely loving. I've never felt loved and seen for who I am in my entire life. We have a relationship that there is a lot of honesty and openness and willingness to work together, to a true partnership. A true partnership. We actually run our business together, and so, you know, so it's, again, it's not about being perfect, because after all the work that I've done, I realized that nothing is perfect, and it's not about being perfect. It's about being real and being truthful and being authentic. So, you know, my relationship with my husband is an ever-growing journey of both really coming together as one. Also, I have a very successful business, and I'm here in Buenos Aires right now, opening the Spanish market at a big level. I'm actually doing a workshop, my first workshop ever here in Argentina. And I'm going to be launching a group program, a virtual group program for the Spanish-speaking market. Before even that, I built a really beautiful 6-figure business in English, which I still continue, of course. there's a lot of projects and there's a lot of beautiful things. And to me, one of the things that I talk about very clearly, which was, again, through my own journey, and now that I share a little bit of my background, you will see why and what I mean by it. My whole life, it's been about the good girl, the victim, right? The poor pobrecita, we call it here, the poor me,
right,
or the bitch. Because when I would get fed up, the bitch will come out, right? And so I was almost like that triangle, right? Like going from good girl to victim to bitch. Good girl, and then feeling guilty, then go to the so good girl. So it was like the size of the spectrum. It was so like a roller coaster. There was no centerness. And through my journey, even after India, and through my own empowered journey, I found that the missing link, the missing piece for everything to come into alignment was to find my wild woman. And the good girl, it's not bad. The good girl is actually the one that is compassionate and loving and ever forgiving. That's why she does everything for everybody, right? But when she's out of alignment, she falls into the victim, right? And like she's abused and she's taken advantage of, and she gets like it's all poor me and all that stuff. Until she gets fed up, and then she, resentful, and then she goes into the bitch. But the wild woman is that part of ourselves who allows, it's all about being free and self-honoring. So that was my journey. As I started to see and getting outside of that little box that I lived my whole life, I realized that, wow, that I could actually say no if I didn't want to do something. And then I realized that I could actually dress the way I felt good to me and not the way that society expected me to be. Or even choose relationships to be with that actually make me happy and not that my parents agree with it, for example. And so the wild woman is the one, if you put an image to it, is the one that runs naked in the wood without any care. And it's not that she doesn't care, she is just free.
She's just being herself, just like we were when we were 3 years old, and we didn't really care what anyone thought. We were just funny, silly, inventive, creative.
Absolutely.
Joyful.
So,
yeah.
Right. So when a woman allows herself to reconnect with her wild woman, magic happens. And here's the thing. It's also not about the wild woman running the show, because in order for us to be empowered, we require to be integrated. We can't just run from one aspect of ourselves. And I'm sure, with the goddesses, which is similar to that, there's different aspects to goddesses, right? It's similar. Like there's times when one steps up more than the other one, but they're all like, it requires to be fully integrated. So to me, what an empowered woman is really owning who you are entirely, and also understanding and realizing that the good girl and the wild woman are exactly like they come together. The wild woman is the one that has been burned at the stake. The wild woman is the one that was called witch.
The psychic, the one who was so in touch with her intuition.
Yes.
She was dangerous because she wasn't coming from her logical place. She was intuitive.
She was a threat, and no one could control it, because you can't control the wild woman.
Yeah.
You cannot control the wild woman. She's very instinctual.
Yeah.
So, but she needs the good girl too, because the good girl brings her, the good girl is the one also that follows the rules. And there's a reason for it. So the good girl is the one that brings all of that. She gives absolute unconditional love, but also brings a little bit of that format to the wild woman. And together there's such a powerful force.
Mm.
A powerful force. That's what I call the empowered woman.
Wow, very cool. So it's a different view on the masculine and feminine relationships, but it's rather taking the archetypes within a woman that we kind of already play around with and kind of marrying them, like a sacred marriage between those two archetypes.
Right. So the empowered state is the good girl, and the wild woman, the disempowered state is the victim. And when the wild woman is disempowered, she becomes the bitch.
I see. Interesting. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So yes, and it is about being integrated. That's the key. That is absolutely the key, to be integrated. Now, this is the feminine itself. The wild woman is the one that fuels everything in your life. She's all about passion, self-honoring, sexuality, sensuality. She's sassy, all of that. In business, by the way, as I am an entrepreneur and as I coach a lot of women entrepreneurs, in business, she's the fuel and the soul of your business. So for any woman who is not connected to that part of herself, she's not going to fully allow herself to be successful. And if she does, she will do it from the masculine.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. And I know as an entrepreneur, it's easy to fall into that. Yep.
Right. But the downside of being successful from the masculine, if a woman feels connected with her feminine at some point, is that she won't feel fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying every woman. Some women thrive in their masculinity, and it's actually absolutely that there's no right or wrongs. It is what it is.
Right.
But for me, for example, I couldn't allow myself to be successful by sacrificing my feminine. That did not work out for me.
Right.
I needed to bring both aspects of myself. It couldn't be separated. And I am not I'm not a woman who thrives solely in my masculine. And of course, I receive a lot from my masculine. The masculine is the one that brings into action all of my desires and passions, from the wild woman and the good girl, the empowered woman. But it's not necessarily solely from the masculine. It's in service of the feminine. So what I am very passionate about is actually teaching women to own their femininity, to heal their femininity, so they're solid within themselves. That allows you to be inspired and to do whatever you do. And you can feel it, I'm sure, in my voice, the passion coming through for what you do. So that's it.
Yeah.
When you speak that way, people hear, listen. It's and that's what we require, in my opinion. I'm not one to say I have the truth, but I do want to say that when a woman comes from this place, she creates an impact in the world. And we need more women. Again, in my humble opinion, we need more women who step into this power and not just use the masculine power that came from the patriarchy. That there's nothing wrong with it, but it doesn't work for us women.
Totally. And the style might be different. Like I know Malala, for instance, her style is very steady, and yet like she speaks in a very kind of passionate tone. And then some women, you know, are just, you know, so I think leadership can look different in different ways, but it comes from our authenticity in how we would want to express ourselves, you know? Like I would probably also be like, my natural self would be like, yay, let's do this, blah, blah, blah. But the side of me that's my, you know, good girl, like, oh, you know, you should be demure, like be humble, be this, be that. And then my own tone would just be kind of softer, you know, almost like begging or, you know, trying to please or being seductive, right? And those are not very empowering kind of ways to be in life and business and in relationships.
That's why the good girl requires to have the wild woman with her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, so, you know, that's the fun, that's the way that I've found out to sort of put a visual to what that looks like all within ourselves. The real deal, I mean, to make it just short and sweet, it is about being in truth with who you are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And knowing, you know, how to tango, right? Like when to be in your feminine, when to be in your masculine, and when to do that dance.
Mm-hmm. The art, yeah, when to do that dance. And I like how you said it. It's a dance. It's not, you know, it's not a formula. It's not, you know, it's just a state of being. And it is about easily flowing between those two and if and when needed. Awesome. So, you know, I'm so excited to hear about like something that you're actually launching really soon. And it's really unique because it's very few times do I come across, you know, masterminds or group programs for women who are in that same vibration, you know, women who want to take it to the next level, who know that like to make the next leap, they have to go, you know, into that empowered woman state and really learning to integrate their masculine and feminine sides. And I think it's very unique in this world of, you know, one-on-one coaching or classes and online programs and things like that. So, you know, Paula, I'd love to hear from you about what you have cooking.
Yeah. So the Empowered Woman Mastermind came through my own need, if you will, or my own desire, better said, of having a group of women, which I actually do have. And I was reminded last year, we had something happen in the family, and it was really intense. Mm-hmm. And I'm still running my business, and I could see, you know, my husband and I created a business where we are. That's what gives us the income and all that stuff, but I am the face of the business, right? Like I am the one who needs to be in my power. I'm the one. But what happens when life happens around you and you require those times? Well, your business could suffer if you're not allowing yourself to be supported. Usually, for me, my group of women were the ones who supported me at that time. And even prior to that, the whole year prior to that, I kept hearing women just feeling the same thing, that they were doing their businesses, but things weren't working, and they were applying all of the structures and what they were receiving about how to create a successful business, but yet it wasn't happening. And I realized it was because the feminine wasn't in place. Now, again, this is not that you need the feminine to be successful for all women, but for some women like me as well, who are not willing to sacrifice the feminine, you're required to have your feminine in place. You're required to have your feminine, meaning being supported, right? Feeling supported through the journey. It's not disconnected. You don't just disconnect and do solely business. Like if my relationship with my husband is not going well, then my business is going to suffer. And that's what was happening to women. Or, you know, this, they wanted to find, you know, women want to find love, and they're in that area of their life is not fulfilled, then that's going to affect their business. If they have something going on with their kids, you know, and that's what I'm talking about, the feminine. That's what I mean is that you don't just detach from it, you actually care for that as well. And a lot of women have difficulty because they don't have that support system. That I prior to creating my business, I actually did 4 years of the feminine work. Like healing a lot of the pieces of self-doubt, value, you know, how to own my femininity, which is, as I said, it was part of my journey. And as I did this, I realized, so then when I applied all the business structures of my business took off. It wasn't a miracle. It was that I was strong within me. And now that I set the masculine structures, I had the confidence, I had the way to connect. I knew when to say yes and when to say no. I knew how to set boundaries. I learned all of that prior.
Yeah. And Paula, can you like explain a little bit what, you know, when I think of being in the feminine, sometimes there's a sense that it's being, it sounds weak actually being in your feminine. So I'm just curious, like, what practices do you mean, like, tangibly about being in your feminine?
Yes. Well, feminine is not solely like, again, going to the salon and getting your hair done or taking a
spa. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, that's part of it because you are in the flow, you're in a receiving mode, yet the real work of the feminine and the invitation is for us to heal all of the, exactly, you just nailed it in the head, all of these ideas that we have. So most of us go into the masculine because we are afraid that if we go into the feminine, we're going to be weak, be taken advantage of, be abused. So when it comes to what I shared before, the victim.
Yeah.
Right? And so the innocence of the good girl gets damaged by the life experiences that most of us women had of being abused, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Right? So the work actually is not look at it, because like I said, when you're not looking at it, but you're still vibrating with that energy, things in your life will come, so they will confirm the beliefs that the feminine is weak. So my invitation to every woman who works with me is to heal the feminine. And once you heal the feminine, then you can invite the wild woman in and create that oneness of the empowered woman. Is that clear? Does that, because I know to me it's like.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, I think it's, so you're talking almost like a 3-step process almost. It's like, first you heal your good girl thoughts or beliefs, and then you invite your wild woman who you've been sort of keeping on the wayside or just suppressed. And suppression looks like an anxiety, right? It looks like this urge of something like, oh, and a lot of women come to me, they have anxiety, and I think it's that, right?
Yeah.
And then the third is then applying masculine structures, you know, and it could be anywhere, like in your corporate world, it could be in your relationships, just like you have your relationship with your husband and your business. And so it's when you have these fundamental feminine pieces in alignment, then the sacred union with the masculine energy becomes more whole, it sounds like.
Absolutely. Beautifully said. That's it. That's it.
That's great. Okay. Yeah.
So the reason why I created this mastermind, this group, for only 10 women, we have 2 more spaces left, is because my intention is that they really solidify this union within their own femininity, so then can go out and play with the masculine, meaning creating whatever they want, either whereas be an awesome relationship, whereas is creating a powerful business and allowing yourself to receive money at a higher level or be visible at a higher level. That's what happens. That's it. Until you don't heal that, I hear so many women, they're like, oh no, I'm not gonna do video, or no, I'm like that's all. The visibility is that you're not confident in your feminine. That's it. Why? Because women have been ostracized and killed because of being women.
Yeah.
Right? Think about it.
Yeah.
So that's why. So we require to do the feminine work. And so the invitation of this mastermind is that women come together to open their hearts, to heal whatever they need to heal, and also to empower themselves, to reconnect with the wild woman. That's why we're going to do a retreat in Isla Mujeres in May for us to come together.
Tell us a little bit about that, because I read about it. How it sounds so magical, like, and it's such a unique experience.
Well, the Isla Mujeres is where the Mayan culture, the Mayans used to go to celebrate the goddess Ixchel, which is the goddess of fertility, the moon, and prosperity. And so they would gather in this island to celebrate. There's a temple that we're gonna go visit gather, that celebrated the goddess. So the feminine energy there is like, I mean, talk about healing. You know that right there, you're energetically fully aligned with that, with the healing, with the feminine. And we rented a private villa, and we have a private beach, we have a butler, we have a maid that will help us, and we'll do some beautiful work. I actually have a beautiful big surprise for the women who are attending. Again, a very healing experience. I love the mystery, so I'm not going to share fully, but it's going to be a powerful experience. It's going to be a 4-day retreat, and women are coming together to meet in person, because I think that a lot of things that happen online is that we miss that connection, that sisterhood of touching each other and being next to each other.
Oh, they do. That's like the new wave of networking for women, especially, even in the corporate world. It's like we need to be around strong, empowered women and experience sisterly love. It's and so, that physical touch. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's part of what makes us human, right? Like, we're not robots. So and now you told me that recently you found a practice with women that you're working together, right? It's fun. It's like really important.
Well, actually, I found a practice with both men and women, and part of that work for me was about like now marrying, with that masculine energy as well. But that in-person part was so critical, because I was getting in all these online programs, and I'm like, no, I want the in-person. So I think that those 4 days of not just doing yoga and hanging out on the beach, but actually doing work together, doing good things together, it's like very unique for the people who are coming.
Yes. So we're going to start off with that retreat, and the idea is to truly do it in a feminine way, where women are come together, and we're going to work on vision, our vision for our lives moving forward for the 6 months. And we're also going to work a lot on the wild woman, to really bring the wild woman forward, to have that fuel of passion and all that fun stuff that she brings, the wild woman brings. And we're going to also decide and set the tone of the next 6 months. That's the idea. The next 6 months are going to be determined by that gathering, and we're going to choose as a group what areas we'll start working with first. But again, as a group, and they're going to have private coaching. They're going to have a group call. They're going to have private coaching with it. They're also going to have my husband Rob, who will come as the masculine. Of course, he's a masculine, but come up for like any strike, because I am not a business coach, but I did create a very successful business, and we are going to be providing anything that's required. And my husband runs all the back end of it, so we're going to be providing, if you're looking to have a business, or if you're looking to receive support from the masculine in any way, like you say, I just open myself to marry the masculine in my life. So Rob will come in conjunction to that, to support and to serve the feminine, and he is actually excellent for that. And he's a very loving, kind, and compassionate man that actually helped me heal my own feminine.
So and it's so rare to have that combination too.
Yeah. So for any woman who's looking to create a powerful life, really heal these pieces, and truly be empowered within herself, it will be an honor to have you. Hurry though, because we only have 2 places, but it will be an honor to share this journey. And one of the things I share with every woman who I jump on the phone, and this is sort of by invitation only, this is not like anyone can participate. We really love to have a conversation with that woman and see if this is a good fit, because the level of commitment, of course, right, is just from the heart. You want to be in that giving and receiving energy. And this is not about me being the coach and like I'm up here, you're there. Like, it's not about that. This is a mastermind, and I'm going to provide a lot of the behind the scenes. Like, I'm not here to be perfect. I'm gonna share, like, I just shot a video for the group already, like what was going on, something that got triggered today in Buenos Aires about my group, and I'm gonna post it so people see, because the best I learned always is to see what's really happening. I mean, you can tell me all the theory and all of the formulas that you want, but show me the real deal. Show me when you're in that state that you just want to kill someone, or show me in the state when you just want to cry your eyes out, and tell me what you do.
Yeah.
Like, what do you do in that moment? How do you choose for yourself, even if you want to kill someone? Or how do you choose for yourself, even if you don't want to get out of bed? How do you do it?
Yeah, that's right. You can't lead a kick-ass life if you're not willing to at least face those human sides of you, you know, and having your guidance for that, right? You're taking the bat for the team. You're being out there on stage and like facing your fears, you know, and taking risks, taking emotional, financial, you know, risks and all of that to do this. And yeah, like,
and I want to show how that looks like.
Yeah.
What that looks like. What does it look like to see, oh my gosh, I overcommitted to this. How do I get out of this? Or like, what do I do? Like, wow, like, and what, like, show the process as I'm going through it. There's such power. I mean, that's how I learned also from amazing mentors that show me that way. And I wanna show that. I wanna, like, I'm done with all these, like, oh yeah, you know, all like looking pretty
and be successful. Yeah, no.
No, I mean, come on, women, like, let's do it. No, it's life. It's life.
It's life. It's about skills. You know, one thing I've really learned is that it's really about your own interpersonal skills that are really gonna just help you the most, right? There's no secret formula to success and happiness. It's all about knowing who you're being and what your capacity is, what your skills are in any given moment. And what you're helping do is help build those muscles.
Yes. I call it being powerfully vulnerable. You know, one of the things that we're missing in the feminine is that way, but because we feel that we're weak, we show a vulnerability, right? So that's the healing process already. You can also be vulnerable and be powerful. And I want to model that for women. Not that I'm an expert, but it's a constant practice within myself. How can I lead an authentic life? How can I lead an authentic business? It's not going to come from putting the pretty face. It's going to come from being powerfully vulnerable and share from my heart that I don't have to be perfect, but I'm still doing it and I'm still in it.
Yeah, and you're not losing faith, right? Because will come down on your knees sometimes, right? But how do you get back up, and how do you have the strength to do that?
And you do it in an elegant and kind and gentle way.
Exactly, wearing high heels and all.
Yes, and probably red lipstick.
And red lipstick, right? And you know what? I've noticed that women always look pretty when they're crying too. So there is beauty in vulnerability too.
Of course, and that's the whole point. That's the whole point. That's exactly it.
Awesome. Well, Paula, I'm so glad that we got to do this interview. And even though I just came back from the beach and literally I was like putting on my lipstick. I'm in Miami, by the way, everyone, to get my own Wild Woman side fuel.
Yes.
And I do this. I mean, I almost have to like give myself the permission to do this because, you know, it takes courage to do it when you have no idea about financial security and blah, blah, blah. Like all of those stories of scarcity can come up, but owning what helps you feel empowered and feel light, you know, as a person and being yourself. I think it's a muscle, and having a supportive person in your journey, a supportive group in your journey to help you build that muscle, it's only going to serve you for the rest of your life, right? I look at these programs, like your 6-month program is like, they are training grounds. There's stuff that they don't teach you in school, and they're like critical, right, for us to have a fulfilling life. And I think that's what all of us women want nowadays is fulfillment. You know, we don't want to just be spectators in our own life. We want to exactly. Most women I meet have some message to share, you know, whether it's like being into holistic living or being a good mother or running a company. I mean, everyone has some art or some message to share, and it's about
Absolutely.
take that next level. Right?
Yes, I 100% agree. And that's why I love also what you do, because you live your life that way, you know, and again, it's always a work in progress, as I am too. Like this is it. We are on the journey. The journey doesn't have an end.
Yeah.
And it's part of it, and that's the fun of it. And once we realize that, we can just relax and enjoy the ride. We don't have to like, it's like, where is it? Where is it? You know, you can just chill and like open.
And that's actually one of the beauties of being part of a program, is because then you can actually chill, right? One thing that I've learned is that as women, we get into high alert when we don't know, when we're feeling unsafe and we don't trust. Right? And if we have a loving environment in which we can just feel safe and feel trust, then we can let go, we can surrender, we can flow, we can play, you know, we can lead an orgasmic life that way.
Yeah, I actually, at the beginning of the year, I hired this coach for a full year, which is the first time I actually do it, because I've done like 3, 4, 6 months, but I've never done like a full year. And the moment I signed up for it, I was like, oh, it was such a sense of relief, and also like, all right, it's all good. Like, we're good, you know, like, so I hear you. And yes, and every time I participate in groups, it's like, all right, this is fun. Like, we're going to have a good time. And we're also going to grow immensely. And it has been the experience.
Just plugging in my computer.
No worries. So I will send you the link for those who desire to participate. But if they want to send me an email privately, they can do so at paula.lacobara, LACOBARA @gmail.com, PAULA.
Okay.
.LACOBARA @gmail.com, and they, you know, I can send them the information, but I'm sure you can share the information if they.
Yeah, and if people hear this recording afterwards, you know, I mean, it's just really good to know and hear what you're up to, and see if there's a resonance in your frequencies, and maybe you guys at some point.
Yeah, they can go to paulalacobara.com. They actually also have the Empowered Woman Guide, where I share.
I downloaded, and it's excellent.
Yeah, thank you.
Levels of receiving, I think that sounds like a really interesting course.
Yes, the receiving course is going to come through soon. So, and I'm also, just as a sneak peek, I'm doing soon probably the Wild Woman group program as well. It's coming.
Oh, ooh, it's coming. It's birthing.
It's human. It's in it. Probably Isla Mujeres is gonna bring it to light even more so. So I'm excited for that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Paula. And
thank you, Sarika, for having me. Thank you.
To you and the women in your group. May you all be happy and blessed and fulfilled and successful.
Thank you. Same to you, my love. Thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, for watching.
Absolutely. Bye.
Bye.